What would you say if a cop ordered you out of your car right now, no questions asked? Most people do not know they have the legal right to say no, and that single act of compliance is exactly what gets their car torn apart. Your freedom can hinge on one sentence, and you need to know it before those blue lights flash in your rearview mirror. Hit subscribe now because what I am about to show you could save you from jail and thousands in legal fees. This knowledge is your shield, and you cannot afford to learn this on the side of the road with your hands shaking. You need it now. Here's exactly what happens during a traffic stop and how cops are trained to turn a simple ticket into a full-blown search. You're about to learn the 3 tactics that legally stop a vehicle search before it starts. We will cover the exact phrase that forces a cop to end the encounter, the Supreme Court ruling that makes this your strongest protection, and how to stay calm while using it. You will also see the massive mistake 90% of drivers make in the first 30 seconds that gives away all their rights. We will break down real body cam examples so you can see exactly how this plays out. Once you understand their playbook, you will never be caught off guard again. When you get pulled over, your adrenaline spikes and your heart pounds. Most people are so nervous they just want to be polite and get out fast. That natural reaction is exactly what law enforcement counts on. They use your anxiety against you to get permission to do things they cannot legally do without your consent. The moment you're nervous and eager to please, you are a prime target for a search request. They will ask harmless-sounding questions like, "You do not mind if I take a quick look in your car, do you?" Most drivers, wanting to show they have nothing to hide, say, "Go ahead." That is the moment everything changes. That is the moment you hand over your Fourth Amendment rights. You have just given them a free pass to tear apart your vehicle, your privacy, and your day. The worst part is that you did it to yourself. You consented. That word is the most dangerous word in a traffic stop. Consent is the only thing they need to bypass your constitutional protections. Without it, they are stuck. With it, they have a golden ticket. The first tactic you need to use the second an officer asks to search your vehicle is to deny consent clearly and immediately. Here is the trick they do not want you knowing. You have to say the word consent itself. Here is exactly what you say. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Memorize that line. Practice it in your head right now. Say it out loud if you have to. Get comfortable with it so it feels natural when you need it. You do not want to stumble over these words when your heart is racing. You need to say them calmly and confidently. This works because the law is crystal clear. Police cannot search your car without a warrant or your permission. The only way they get past your rights is if you give them away. By stating, "I do not consent," you create a legal barrier. It forces the officer to stop right there because they know they cannot proceed without your agreement or probable cause. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings that say consent must be voluntary. If you say no, they legally cannot proceed based on your permission. They have to find another way. They have to establish probable cause. That is much harder. Most of the time they cannot do it, so they move on. Your refusal shuts down the entire search operation. When you do this, you are putting them on notice that you know your rights. They might pressure you, or make it sound like you are being difficult. They might say, "What are you hiding?" Or, "If you have nothing to hide, why not let me look?" That is a psychological trick to make you feel guilty for exercising your rights. Do not fall for it. Stay calm and repeat yourself if necessary. "I do not consent to any searches." You're not being aggressive, you are being clear and firm. You are not resisting arrest or obstructing justice. You're simply exercising your constitutional right to say no, which is 100% protected by the Fourth Amendment. Most drivers say, "Sure," or "Go ahead, I have nothing to hide." Then the officer tears through their glove box, trunk, and seats. They find nothing, but you are stuck on the side of the road for an extra 20 minutes while they destroy your property. Sometimes they find something you did not expect. Maybe you borrowed a friend's car and they left something in the trunk, or you forgot about an old prescription bottle. Even if you think you have nothing to hide, you do not know what they might find or how they might interpret it. Your job is not to prove your innocence. Your job is to protect your rights. Letting them search is never in your best interest. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Then the officer nods and moves on. They have no legal path forward without a warrant, and unless they have evidence of a crime, they are done. You are protecting yourself and making the stop as short as possible. You are showing them you are not an easy target, and that alone is often enough to end the interaction. Have you ever been asked by a cop if they could search your car? Drop a comment and tell us what happened. Share this video with your friends and family so they know what to say. You could literally save them from a nightmare. The second tactic is your exit strategy. This is the phrase that ends the entire interaction. After you have given them your license and registration, they start asking you a bunch of questions. This is the moment you shut it down and leave. You look at the officer and say, "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" Those exact 9 words force the officer to make a decision. If you are free to leave, they have to let you go. If they say you are being detained, they must have a specific legal reason. They cannot hold you for no reason. This tactic stops the fishing expedition. It cuts off their ability to keep you there while they look for an excuse to search. It puts the ball back in their court and forces them to either arrest you or let you go. Most cops are trained to keep you talking, because the longer you talk, on the more chances you give them to find something suspicious. They will ask where you're going or where you're coming from, questions designed to trip you up. When you ask if you are free to leave, you interrupt that flow and put the legal burden back on them. You have a right to know if you are being arrested or detained. The Supreme Court has ruled that police cannot hold you indefinitely without cause. This question forces them to either let you go or articulate a valid reason to keep you. They cannot just say, "Stay here." They have to say, "You are being detained because," and give a specific reason. If they cannot, they have to let you go. Most drivers just stand there nervously answering question after question about their weekend, their job, and their family. They hand over their phone when asked. They give the officer all the time and information needed to build a case, then end up with a ticket, an arrest, or a search that ruins their day. They were too scared to ask a simple question, and that fear cost them everything. Smart drivers politely ask, "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" The officer says, "You are free to go." And you are back in your car, driving away in under 2 minutes. You have cut off their access to you. You have made it clear you are not willing to participate in an investigation that has nothing to do with the reason you were pulled over. You have taken control without being aggressive, and it worked perfectly. The third tactic saved my subscriber from a $20,000 lawsuit. It is about what to do when the officer asks to look inside your trunk or your phone. Most people immediately say yes because they think it makes them look innocent, but your innocence is not determined by cooperation. Your freedom is determined by the law. When they ask to open something specific, you say, "I'm not giving you permission to search my vehicle or my belongings." You are expanding your denial to cover your whole car and everything in it, leaving no room for interpretation. You're shutting down every possible angle they might use to get inside. Cops often ask for a specific area like, "Just let me look in your glove box," or "Can I pat down your jacket?" If you say yes to the glove box, they can claim you gave general permission for a wider search. By being specific in your denial, you close off every loophole. You're telling them that no part of your property is available for inspection without a warrant. This is 100% legal. You have the right to refuse a search of your personal property. Your refusal cannot be used against you in court. Courts have repeatedly ruled that invoking your rights is not evidence of guilt. Most people have no idea that answering just one question wrong can give the cops everything they need. I have analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and I see this mistake over and over. The officer asks, "Is there anything illegal in the car?" And the driver nervously says, "No, but I have a pipe in my pocket," or "I smoked a joint earlier." That is an admission. You have just given them probable cause to search the entire car and a reason to arrest you. Keep your mouth shut. Do not answer these leading questions. Just say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." That is all you have to say. If you have made it this far, you are serious about protecting your rights. Hit that like button now. You are in the top 10% of viewers who actually take their rights seriously. Do not skip ahead, because this next part is the most important. I am about to show you how to handle the situation when they ignore you and try to search anyway, where most people panic and make things worse. When they ignore you and try to search anyway, you stand your ground without being physical. You say, "I do not consent. Sitsi, and I am going to remain silent." This is a powerful combination because you're not just stopping the search, you are also shutting down the interrogation. You are creating a complete record that you opposed the search, which will be crucial later if you need to challenge anything they find in court. Defense attorneys use this exact line to argue that their clients' rights were violated. Remaining silent is just as important as refusing consent, because anything you say can and will be used against you. That is not just a line from TV, it is the truth. If you start talking, you might accidentally admit to something, say something suspicious, or contradict yourself. All of that can be used as probable cause. So just stop talking. Do not explain why you are refusing. Do not argue. Do not try to reason with them. Just state your refusal and then say you're going to remain silent. If they search anyway, do not physically resist. Do not push them, grab their arm, or try to block them. That is resisting arrest and will get you arrested. If they ignore your refusal and search, you let them do it, but you keep saying, "I do not consent" loud enough for the body cam to hear. You are building your case for later. You are creating evidence that you opposed the search, which can be used to get the search thrown out in court. That is how you win. Let us get into the legal framework behind these tactics, because you need to know why this works. The most important case is Schneckloth versus Bustamante, which says consent must be given freely and voluntarily. If you say no, they cannot act like you said yes. Then there's Terry v. Ohio, which limits how long and how far an officer can detain you without probable cause. They can only hold you for a reasonable amount of time to deal with the reason for the stop, and they cannot extend the stop to investigate other crimes without reason. Finally, Florida v. Royer established that asking if you are free to leave is a direct challenge to the legality of the detention. It forces the officer to justify holding you. These are your legal shields. In plain English, Schneckloth means if you say no, they cannot pretend you said yes. Terry means they cannot keep you on the side of the road forever just because they want to ask more questions. They have to either let you go or give a reason. Royer means you have the right to know if you're free to leave. If they say yes, you leave. If they say no, they have to tell you why. These three legal anchors are solid, proven, and your weapons. Let me show you exactly what this looks like in a real scenario. Imagine you are driving home from work and a cop pulls you over for a broken taillight. He asks for your license and registration. You give it to him. He goes back to his car and comes back a few minutes later. This is a routine stop. The wrong way. The officer says, "We're getting a lot of drug activity in this area. Mind if I take a look inside your trunk?" Most drivers say, "Sure, I have nothing to hide." The officer opens the trunk, finds nothing, but spends 10 minutes digging through your stuff. You feel violated and late for dinner. You had the right to say no, but you gave it away. The right way using these tactics, he asks to search your trunk. You calmly say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." He might push back and say, "Why? What are you hiding?" You repeat, "I do not consent to any searches, and I do not answer questions." He then asks if you are hiding anything. You stay quiet or repeat that you do not answer questions. Then you ask, "Am I being detained, or am I free to leave?" He says you're free to go because he has nothing else to hold you on. You get back in your car and drive away. The whole stop took maybe 5 minutes. You protected your rights and your time. You walked away clean and free. Next video, I'm revealing exactly what to say when cops claim they smell marijuana, the #1 trick used to justify searches that gets people arrested every single day. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it, because that video drops next Tuesday, and it is the most requested topic on this channel. I'm going to break down exactly how to handle that situation, show you the cases that protect you, and give you the exact words to say. You do not want to miss it, because it could be the difference between driving away and sitting in a cell. Here's the reality of what you just learned. You have the power to refuse any search. You have the right to ask if you are free to leave. You have the legal protection to stand firm and not give in to pressure. These three tactics are your strongest defense against an invasive traffic stop. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it removes their ability to get consent. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection against an unjustified search. Most people have no idea how powerful these simple words are, but now you do. You are armed with knowledge that most drivers will never have. That knowledge is your shield. Hit subscribe so you catch that drug dog video coming out soon. Smash the like button if this just saved you from a future arrest, because this information is gold. Drop a comment telling me which tactic shocked you the most. Were you surprised that you can just say no? Well, let me know what you think. Stay safe out there, and remember, your rights are only as strong as your willingness to use them. Do not let fear take those rights away from you. You have the law on your side. You have the knowledge now. Go use it.